Hey, my name is Toby Campion and I'm the founder of Lore Machine. In this video, I'll tell you a little bit about where Lore Machine came from and how our homegrown AI native storytelling format, the Lore, unlocks unlimited interactive adventures. We'll then build a lore together, and I'll show you how to turn that into a promo, inviting fans back to Lore Machine to play your story. It looks like this. Let's get into it. Lore Machine is an interactive storytelling platform that allows you to build stories in all different traditions. We started Lore Machine as a screenplay visualization tool. Back in 2021, DALL-E and Midjourney were just crawling onto the scene. They were pretty good at transforming 140 characters of text into a pretty good image. But it didn't work the way us humans like to communicate, which is through story. We were based in Los Angeles and surrounded by screenwriters and thought to ourselves, okay, if we can build a system that's good enough for screenwriters, it's probably good enough for most other storytellers on Earth. Lore Machine launched as a screenplay visualization tool. Hollywood screenwriters could jump into Lore Machine, input up to 30,000 words of text, and then transform that into a storyboard with consistent characters, locations, scenes, and styles. That didn't stop other communities using Lore Machine for their own purposes. The community that made us sit up and pay close attention was the manga scene in South Korea.
제가 연말부터 웹소설을 한 편 쓰고 있습니다. 챗GPT가 소설을 쓰고 로어머신이라는 생성형 AI가 이 소설의 생명을 불어넣는 과정 단 3분이면 충분했습니다.
We thought this is a perfect way to absorb the insane amount of stuff coming out of AI generators. If you're building a video, sure you can build all your shots, but you're going to eventually end up having to jump into an editor. Thus was born a hero storytelling format built for the AI era called the Lore. The Lore merges narrative text, images, audio, video, animation, and annotations into a scrollable multimedia adventure. It's basically Webtoons on steroids and acid. This is a lore created by inputting the first 3 pages of the screenplay for the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie into Lore Machine. Let's take a look at the global settings. Here you can control the title. You can upgrade the lore to a world in which people can then contribute to the canon with their own lores. You can provide a short description that helps people understand a little bit more about the lore before diving in. You can add genre tags, which allows the lore to be discovered by people with specific interests. You can then change narration. You can turn on bubbles, you can turn off bubbles, you can change the narrative voice, and you can also change the visibility settings. So let's say you're working with a team, you don't want anyone else to see that lore, you can just simply turn it on to private or unlisted. Additionally, you can see an aerial view of all the blocks inside of your lore. Inside this aerial view, you can rearrange blocks and change the narrative accordingly. Alright, let's dive into the first lore block. Each lore is made of individual lore blocks, and each lore block contains multitudes. Here's our first lore block. It's an establishing shot of New York City that sets the tone for the opening of the scene. You have your voiceover.
New York City, a busy Monday morning. Commuters make their way to work unaware of the sinister forces that weave through the shadows.
This can be controlled inside the scene narration, which contains the metadata for your entire story. You can simply change it by editing scene description. You also have a full media editor on board beside each one of your lore blocks. To change everything down to the very pixel, simply click the edit button and you can modify the image, animate the image, generate a new image, upload your own image from anywhere else on the web, whether it's generative or not, or simply take a selfie. Firstly, I'm going to modify. Next, I'm going to animate. Alrighty, we're all set. Additionally, I can add comic bubbles. Let's try one. You also have a character drawer and a location drawer. They're very important to your story. For the character drawer, I have all of these characters that were created before I even started building the lore. There's Donatello, Michelangelo, Raphael, my favorite Leonardo. Each one of these character attributes contributes to the intelligence of the lore as a whole. Same goes for locations. Here we have New York City, an Econoline van, an overgrown lot, the waterfront warehouse. And I've got all these details which can be changed at any time and affect the overall intelligence of the story as well. Let's coast through the lore and then build one of our own. And there you have it, the first 3 pages of the screenplay for the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie as a lore. Now, let's build our own. To begin building a lore, just head to loremachine.world and register for an account. When you do, you get 30 free visualization credits, which actually lasts you a pretty long time. Today, I'm going to visualize a passage from a book that I'm reading called The First King of Shannara. In this passage, a character named Tay has to break his consciousness out of his body, then travel through a haunted maze to get an object called a black elf stone without being possessed by demons. To build a lore from scratch, you need to go through a 5-stage setup process. Firstly, pick a genre and then a workflow. For this lore, I'm going to pick action, adventure, and fantasy. Next, I'm going to create a lore. You can also build a world that's a little bit more advanced, or you can visualize an entire screenplay or book. But for the sake of simplicity, let's create a lore first. Next, character creation. I've got 2 characters that I want to build for my lore. The first is Tay, the protagonist, and the second is the Wraith, the character that comes out of his consciousness. Let's start with Tay and then build the Wraith. Next, pick your art style. You can choose between a bunch of system presets or create your own. For the sake of speed, I'm going to keep it simple. Next, visualize. Alright, that's pretty good, except I wanted blonde hair, so I'm going to edit this character. Perfect, that's exactly what I had in mind. Wow, it really matches my imagination. Now I'm going to give my character a name and a backstory. The more details, the better. Now, I'm going to add another character, the Wraith. Okay, also pretty damn on point. I really wanted that freaky looking wraith hooded creature thing, and it came out exactly the way I wanted. 2 for 2. So we're gonna call this character the Wraith, and then give it a backstory. Next, we're gonna establish our setting. This is the True Magna, which is an ancient fortress buried in the mountain. Inside of this fortress in the mountains exists the Garden of Life. So I'm going to create another location. Okay, getting there, except for the fact that there's this British countryside around and I want this to be on top of a mountain. So I'm going to take this fortress and this garden, I'm going to put it directly on top of a mountain. Now we're talking. That looks like the type of maze that I would only send my projected consciousness into. Now you're on the last setup step, giving your lore a title and an opening scene. The AI's filled in both of these forms, but this title is a little meh, so I'm gonna give it a little bit more juice. I actually like the opening scene, so we're gonna keep it. And as a final step, I'm gonna pick my narrative voice.
Beyond the old door, starlight spilled.
Beyond the old door, starlight.
Beyond the old door, starlight spilled across.
Okay, that feels right.
Your legend is waiting.
Now we're ready to go. Just launch your lore.
Mist swirled around the vibrant tiles of the Garden of Life as Tay Treffenwood prepared for his grim transformation. Standing at the edge of the maze within Chew Magna, he reached for his circlet to begin the dark ritual.
Now we've got our first lore block. Let's take a look. Here we have the image of the fortress, and inside the fortress, the maze. We have our narration here, which can be edited by clicking Scene. We can edit the image. I don't think I need to edit the image right now, but you can obviously modify, animate, upload your own image. You can even add a bubble. For instance, it's pretty clear that there's a character sitting waiting at the edge of the maze. We don't need to add that bubble, so let's delete it. Now, this is where Lore Machine excels. Simply scroll to the bottom of your lore, and the system has provided 4 different paths for which direction you want to take the lore. You can look closer, shift perspective, engage, or escalate the scene. You can also focus on specific characters and locations. For now, though, I have a very specific idea of what I want to happen next. That is malevolent. I love it. Let's play the narration.
Standing at the edge of the Garden of Life, Trefenwid shuts his eyes tight as the air turns frigid.
I'm really curious what this is going to look like as an animation, so let's close the narration and try giving this some movement. Woo! Look at that. Okay, now on to the next lore block. Now I'm presented with 4 more options of which direction I can take this story. I can also shuffle these and check out some different options. Amazing, but for me, useless because I want to stay faithful to the adaptation of The First King of Shannara by the resplendent Terry books. So, I've actually got the next scene in my head already. Perfect, no notes again, the Wraith has stayed consistent, the garden is freaky. In the interest of time, we're gonna motor on to the last lore block. In this last lore block, the Wraith discovers the Elf Stone in the center of the maze. Bingo, nailed it again, except for the system gave my Wraith legs. I said no legs. So let's remove his legs, and then we can complete the lore. Done. That's exactly what I had in mind. We're good to go. Our lore is locked and loaded. Let's go to the top and review. Lores by default are not published. To publish them to the homepage, simply click Publish up top. Because I've set Remix to on, anyone can jump in, hit the potion button, and take it in whatever direction they want. I've included the link below, so feel free to go to Lore Machine and try remixing for yourself. To promote my lore and invite people back to Lore Machine to play my story, I'm going to stitch my assets together into a video, ready for TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube Shorts. Here's the result.